Hi guys, it's Belle here and I'm coming on with the official final video for Junk Journal January 2025 hosted by the lovely Meg over at Meg Journals. Check out the links to her channel down below. So in today's video we're going to finish the back pocket, I'm going to do a flip through and then we're going to do a quick reflect. So grab a cup of something and maybe a snack and let's get started. So I've already done a bit on the back. I just used a book page and then I used some more of the paper bag so I could make this tuck spot, because this is going to fit in there. So the prompt list is going to fit in there. So we have to decorate this up. So I just pulled out loads of little scraps and we're going to just do a little bit of collage on the back. I was thinking about using this lovely lady because she has a pop of red in her and I kind of love it. So that's who I was thinking of using for this final piece at the back there. Oh, I've got so much to put away, guys. I have been doing so many different things during the month. I like this. It already has a brad in it. I don't know why, but I think they'll work well together. I've been doing so many different projects and it's not chaos. It's not all, they're all in like boxes, but the stuff in the boxes are very chaotic and I need to spend a little bit of time over the next day putting everything away. Should we bring in a pop of blue? Because obviously I need to tidy and get everything ready for February and get all those different bits and bobs out in their little project boxes. So that's what I need to be doing. Oh, I tell you, chaos. But that's not a bad thing. Oh, doesn't that go really well together? This was such a fun find in my scrap box. That's actually the back of the brad, but I like this side more than I like that side. So, you know, that's what we are going to use. I could even have her coming over the edge of the pocket. That's not a problem. This is so hard to work on now, guys, because of all the bits underneath. We do have the ruffle. I'm just wondering if I want it under. I think I do. Oh, it's so wibbly wobbly. Got this little touch of blue. Again, I just want to use up scraps from bits that I've done during the challenge that I had in my little scrap box, which I had quite a bit and I've got a bit left over, which is always good. I'm not saying it's not. Oh, we have this little word that says heart or noted, which I also quite like. I mean, that would cover up a lot of this. It's too big, isn't it? We were not going to use that. Got some graph paper. I don't think I need that. We could bring in some cross-stitch fabric. Let's bring in a little bit of this, I think. So, yes, I've really, really loved January. But I've been very busy. I did all of December and my usual videos like the Marguerite Miller and that I had to go up during December. And I also did obviously Junk Journal January. Kind of like that in the middle there. Also did Junk Journal January and all my other projects. And also, obviously, I did Fanguary and again other projects, because I've taken on some new year-long projects is the word I'm looking for. I quite like that. We're not seeing as much of the ruffle, but I can bring it up a little bit and we'll see more of it there. And again, I don't have to do that. That was my choice. And I am really enjoying what I've been doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. But it does mean that I am very tired. And there is a lot of mess around me that needs to now be put away. So, yes, I'm kind of looking forward to that, even if I'm sad that some of the challenges are coming to an end. I had this butterfly. I was thinking of putting it on, but maybe just half a wing, you know? Does that look weird if it's just half a wing? I kind of love it, but I also feel like it's too big, which, hold on. Okay, this is what I mean about needing to tidy. I know I have a whole pack of Anna Griffin vellum butterflies, like this is one of them. I know I have that, but can I find it? No, I can't find it. And that needs to be sorted. Shall we do a bit of cross stitch on here? I've already got some red thread. Let's just do a teensy bit. Let's do the double. A bit of cross stitch on here. Yeah, so I need to find that. Oh my gosh, why can't I find? Do you know why? I think this needle's too chunky for this fabric. We're just going to be a bit naughty and push that through, even though it's the wrong size needle for this. Right, what is happening? What is happening here? Okay, let me grab what should be a better needle that might want to work, but the problem is that that's also a lot of thread. I could do less thread. So yes, I just need things put back in their place. I'm just one of those kinds of people that I like everything to be organized and everything to be where it's meant to be so that I can grab it quickly. That's much better. And not be going, where is that? Where is that? And when you have done several month-long challenges, as well as start several new challenges, everything needs to be put away. I love it. So yeah, need to do that. Which now I should only have between 3 to 4 videos going up a week. That should be not too bad. The past week has been a lot, with sometimes 3 videos a day. And do you know what? If you guys are watching all of them, I thank you so much, because I know that takes up a lot of your day too. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, that just needed that. I do have this little butterfly, which is similar to the one on the front, but I really don't like it, so we're not going to do it. I thought I would like it. I don't. I think I might bring in a flower, but it would have to go behind or below. Should we start sticking things down? That's what I feel like I need to do. So that's what we're going to start to do. So let's start with this. But yes, so thank you so much for all your support. And I reached 4,000 subscribers during this challenge, which I know quite a few of you found me this year through this challenge. So thank you so much for subscribing and deciding that you wanted to stick around to see what else that I do. I deeply appreciate it. And obviously I appreciate all of you who've been here, whether it's been since the start of my channel with that very dodgy first video, or even if you just subscribed yesterday, like I appreciate every single one of you. It means the world to me. So yes, thank you for that and all your support. And now I can just catch up with all the comments I'm behind on and some new projects that I want to work on and all of that good stuff I can catch up with. So yeah, I love the daily challenges. It's exciting and I'm never quite sure how they're going to turn out. This one has turned out so differently to my previous Junk Journal Julys. Junk Journal July and Junk Journal January. I know I keep saying July, guys. It's in my head now that it's almost July time. I know it's not officially because obviously July's months away, but that's my birthday month, so I think that's why it's in my head at the moment. Yes, so there's all of that good stuff, but they are very different, and I'm trying to decide whether I prefer what I've done this year or whether I prefer my previous years, and I think they're just different. So I will leave last year's Junk Journal January and Junk Journal July flip throughs down below, and you can go and have a look at them and see what you think. They are different, and yeah, I think the first year I did it, my first Junk Journal January last year, I think I was really just playing and doing things that I'd never really done before and just exploring different styles and things like that, which was a lot of fun. This year it's tended to be more in the same style, even though some of it is slightly different. And I've still challenged myself because I've done things that I have never done before, which has been a lot of fun. But I just think it's been different. The 2 years have been very different in what's how they look, which I find fascinating, and it'll be interesting to see what I go back to next year, whether I do something really arty like I tended to do last year, or whether I kind of go back to a more cohesive kind of, this feels like a mini journal rather than an art journal, if that makes sense. Whereas my other two felt like, from last year, felt like art journals. I don't think we need that on there. So that's been interesting to look at and kind of realise. But again, that's the fun of this. Let's have a look what I want. I've used a lot of my favourite words. I've got something. Something important, something positive. I think I want that on there. I want the word something. Yeah, we're going to put that there. It's already gone down, so something positive, because I do think that being creative is a really positive thing to do. And I think that you know, taking that time for ourselves and our craft and to just have fun, I think that's really, really important. So I think something positive kind of works in this case. I'm really pressing that down. There's a lot of layers. We've got something positive, which I think could go there or there. something positive. Yep. That's fine there. Let's stick this down. And then I think I'll use a rub-on because can't not now, can I? Like, it's the final piece. Can't not have a rub-on. So let's have a look. I just want to pick some of the little bits out that I've got because, yeah, it'd just be fun to use some of those up when 1, 2, 3, 4, or this is fun. So I'm going to put that up there. But yeah, do something fun. The world can sometimes be a very challenging place, especially at the moment. So I think those of us in the craft community who are making fun, wonderful things from often different scraps and things, I think that's something positive. It brings joy to ourselves and hopefully to others. And I think at the moment in the world, that is super important. So, yeah. Gosh, look at me being all reflective. That's the problem, isn't it? I'm reflecting on this journey. And then that just makes me reflective in general. So, yeah. Tis what it is. I'm wondering if I want original packages only. Original unbroken packages only. Kind of like that as well. I will say, trying to stitch on here. Let's see where I want this. Trying to stitch on this fabric, on this piece, was not easy. And there is some very wonky stitching, I'm going to be honest, because I put some of the really chunky pieces of ephemera too near the edges. Oh my gosh, I got so frustrated trying to stitch this journal. I had to take a break halfway through and just go, right, take a deep breath, Belle, walk away for a minute and do something else and then come back to it, because of the chaos on the craft desk. And my sewing machine is right on the end of my craft desk there. Because of the chaos on the craft desk and because of everything else, oh, it was just a bit of a nightmare. And yeah, between the chunky bits and trying to hold everything, and yeah, I don't think we need any more rub-ons on there. Oh, it was it challenged me. Now I'm hoping the wonky stitching, sorry, I'm trying to pick up my glue lid with it had fallen between where I keep my supplies and the mat. Let's have a drink of tea and see if that helps me. Between my craft mat, so I had to use my little tweezers to try and pick it up. So this will be my pocket. I will also be keeping in here, I think I'm going to cut this down just a little bit. I will also be keeping in here my little tag with the names on. I've started putting that together. I haven't completed it because I can't remember every single name, and I know some of them didn't have names. So that's got to be rectified. But I'm going to do that over time slowly because there's no rush. So this will fit right in here in this pocket with all the prompts, and it kind of, do you see what I've done? It kind of mirrors the front. Do you see? Mirrors it with it down the side and that. So yeah, anyway, let's get on with the flip through now, shall we? Let's move all of that and let's get on with our flip through. So this was my cover. At first I really didn't like it, but I changed it up. I'm wondering actually maybe bring in some tape. Sorry, I just realized I had tape on the front and I've just thought that would be quite good to put a teeny bit on the back too. If I can find a bit that would cut really nicely, that might be quite nice to do. So let's do that. I did make more. I kept saying I had to make more, and I ended up doing it, which I'm super happy about because I really did need it. Would it go really well here? Yes, yes it would. I like it just there. Yeah, okay. So I redid the cover because I wasn't completely happy with it, and I'm much, much, much happier with it now. Obviously, throughout this, I was using the Tim Holtz dolls, the Tim Holtz photo booth, the portrait headshots, and then I also sprinkled in some vintage tea cards that were fashion related. So that was something I wanted going through everything. And yes, you can see this was already stitched, this one. Hold on, I've got to open it up now. So the first prompt was cover, we did that. The second prompt was envelope. I really love how this came out. I love the gesso. This is when I started to realise maybe a pop of red or blue would work. And I really love this vellum envelope with the flowers coming out. Love that. This was tickets. Funny enough, one of my least watched of the early videos, and I don't know if that's just because people saw most of it and thought, oh, that just looks simple. I don't know, but I really loved this one. I love the little girl. We had a whole story about her going to school and having to get tickets to get on the bus. Again, I've brought in a little bit of gesso, but I left some of the packaging. I've added a blue tab. The stitching went a bit weird over here, but I've added a blue tab to pick up the blue in the piece, and then also we've pulled in some of the red from here as well, so that's really cute. Here was the page 4 for outline. This was the page that covered up the page that I absolutely hated. If you haven't seen that video, go back and have a look. But what I did do was I took some of the background paper that I used to spray an ink on for the page underneath, and I actually pulled that into this page. So there's still aspects of the page I disliked. I just used them in a different way, and I did some stitching on here, which I really loved the way this looks. I've used one of my scrappy what they called snippets on here. I think the pink and the white kind of pulls in some of the pink and the white on here, and the green flowers pull in the flowers in her basket. So love that bit. Again, a bit of wonky stitching. It is what it is. We're just going to work with it. The wonky stitching down here kind of added to the grunginess of this piece, so I liked it. I've just got some plain kind of ecru burlap here. This was Robert. I do remember his story. I love this page. And this was depth, and I was exploring depth in different ways by using stencils or stamping or collage paper, by layering things up, using colour, using foam dots. There was lots of different things, and I think also, thinking about it, story gives your pieces depth as well. This was embossed, and I really didn't like this page, and I had also use some of this fabric. Do you see with this dots on it? It's like it's not an eco fabric, but it's got a kind of batik is that pattern to it, and I liked the brown because it picked up some of the vintage and the brown in his suit, but the bluish grey circles picked up the circle of the wax seal, so I thought that kind of worked. This was a page I wasn't happy with. Since I've stitched around it, I think I like it a bit more. Over here, like I didn't realize I was stitching through the wax seal. Thank goodness I have a sewing machine that's used to working with denim, because it actually got through the wax seal. But I was moving it thinking, why is this not going? And then I turned it over and went, oh, okay. And I much prefer that the lace is stitched down on this one now. So I didn't like this one. So later on, I redo embossed. I've got to like it more, but it's still one of my least favorite in the whole journal. Love this one. This was Tuckspot. We told the story of Mavis and her dog Charlie. Again, I kept in a lot of the background of the stamp because of the paper bag journal, because I thought that was fun sometimes to just leave it in. I've used a paper bag journal, nice to leave it in. I'm going to write all about them, still haven't yet. And we've got Tuckspot because we've created a Tuckspot. Again, I mean, look at the stitching gone wonky here because we've got this. I mean, do you see how close the stitching got to that metal? Oh my goodness, how my needle did not break. Because I was stitching it backwards, I should have stitched it with this as the front. And the whole tag's gone a bit weird. But I've got some green and blue in here to pick up the blue here. And so we have this as the Tuckspot, but also little Charlie tucks on to the Tuckspot. Love that page. Oh, we have Heinrich here, and this was Antique. I love this whole page. I love the movement. Also trying to stitch around this when I had something moving, had to be so careful. Love the whole story of Heinrich. We've got just some plain kind of linen up here because this is a very vintage looking page. Love the movement of here. I feel like I was really starting to find my groove a bit more from, I think probably from Heinrich's page. This was much more arty, which I kind of love. And then we start getting into what I would call kind of classic journal, junk journal creation pages for me. So yeah, love that one for Antique. And I went with the antique idea of an antique watch. This one was for Hidden. And we have our magnet. Now, again, this was interesting to stitch because this flips open. So I had to make sure this was open as I was stitching it. And again, we got some wonky stitches here. Don't look too carefully. It just adds to it all. Love this. Love the hidden aspect. Couldn't attach the tab here, so it's attached to the other side of the page. Love the interactivity with this one. Love the message. Love the embossing. It's a good page. This one took me completely kind of by surprise. This was 10. This was trim. We went with the idea of both fabric trim but wooden trim. And I asked you guys to come up with their story. Oh my goodness. If you have not read the comments for day 10, go and read them. I love them. I couldn't pick a favorite, guys. I love the stories you came up with. I love that you got involved. Like it was just such a joy to read what you guys said. So yes, and we have this kind of beautiful slightly shimmery blue and pink fabric to really pick up the blue and pink in the page. Then we had magazine, and I love this one. It is so simple. It's probably one of the simplest pages in this whole journal, but I love this page. And it's using almost completely magazine except a bit of scrapbook here. We've got some weird inked paper that was actually the hinge and the doll. And obviously this was him with his Nana. I love that. So yeah, one of my favourite pages. Then we had this one, which was overlap. Again, we've got some of that blue pink fabric to pick up the blue flowers and the pink in it. And it is being held together with a little metallic blue paper clip. But the overlap, I overlapped the pieces of craft, and then there's also the flip overlap as well, and then this flips up. There's a lot of overlapping in this piece. I'll leave that off. I'll put that back on in a minute. Love this page. This was opaque. I knew I wanted to use the texture paste, the Tim Holtz opaque texture paste. Again, we have one of my fabric snippets, which is only on one side. The map's on the other side, that's why. We've got the pink in here to pick up the pink on the background. This was quite an arty page again. And we have our little Delilah Featherfoot fairy. So love this page so much. Then we had Balance, and I went with, let me try and pronounce it again, Mayat, who is the Egyptian goddess of balance, justice, all that kind of thing. Now, I know this was a page that divided people. Out of every page in this journal, there was a bit of a divide. Some of you really didn't like it. You were still very kind about it, but it wasn't your thing. And some of you loved the idea. Some of you liked aspects of it, but weren't keen on the other. And I must admit, it is quite different to the rest of the journal in some ways. But I love this. I love the message behind it. And I loved I used one of my own stamps. We have movement on here. I've used this kind of rust fabric that pulls in kind of the orangey brown down here, but also with some blue to pull in the blue. And then we have neutral, which was a really fun page. I've actually pulled in some darker neutral, really textured upholstery fabric on this. Again, this was super chunky. The stitching got so near the edge of this one. Yeah, but really love this page. It was fun and I just played with it. We have Unfold, which again, guys, trying to stitch this, I had to open it. There's a few tears. It was a thing. It really wanted to challenge me, but I did it. It's a bit wonky up there, but there we go. And yeah, we have an unfolding piece that I'm going to write all about them on the love story. Got again a little fabric snippet up here. I really liked the browns. There's little bits of orange. It really picks up these kind of colors. A little bit of white lace. Loved it. Again, we had one that really took me by surprise. I really enjoyed how this one turned out, and this was for Bright. Again, we've got a snippet snippets tab on here, which I've only stitched on the one side. Really, really bright, really fun. Again, used the vintage, but kind of went with, yeah, just some random things, but still pulled in the blues, the reds, the greens, the pinks that were starting to become kind of a theme in the whole, well, we're now a theme. And then the back of that tab is obviously this piece here. And then we're going to open this up, and this is Fragile. So again, we've got a fabric snippet tab. The pink and a little bit of blue kind of picks up the pink in the piece. Again, the stitching, well, it went a bit wonky because look how wonky that is. But it kind of adds to it. There's nothing I can do about it. I really couldn't have stitched until I finished both sides. But now I'm wondering if when I finished each side, I should have stitched it then. But it doesn't matter. It's done. Then we have day 19. And I mixed up Bright and Fragile, by the way. I did those on the opposite days, but you know, it doesn't matter at the end. And this was Bubble, and I went with Thought Bubbles and this young experimenter and creator and inventor. Again, a bit of a wonky stitch there because of, well, I don't know why that went wonky. This is such a long piece, and there was nothing, I don't have clamps big enough to clamp the whole journal. So I'm trying to stitch, and some's falling on the ground, some's all over my table. Oh, it was, yeah. Let's move on. Day 20 was Tissue, and I really did something I haven't done really before, which was use watercolors on a Tim Holtz tissue piece. Loved how it came out. And this is the other side of the Egyptian goddess one. So we have this kind of orangey, which picks up actually the orange yellow in the flowers. So I really did think about what I was going to use. This is again one of my favorites. This is day 21. It is Map. This completely unfurls. Again, trying to stitch just this bit was a challenge because I had to have the map open and stuff, and it did kind of tear a little bit here, but that can easily be fixed. So love this one. And yes, this is now Tommy and Tuppence on their adventures. If you know, you know, from Agatha Christie. Completely wonky on this side. I mean, yeah. Okay, and then this one. Oh, I loved reading the comments for this one. This was day 22, repeat. So what I did was I repeated the embossed piece. So the page that I really didn't overly like on this side, I repeated it and made it something better. I've got embossed card. I've got embossed down here. I've embossed on here. This is embossed. You can say that the key is embossed. They've got embossing there. And we've got this beautiful blue and pink again to pick up the pink and blue. And I was talking about the tradition here in the UK of giving a key on your 21st birthday. And it was really interesting that the majority of you have never heard of that. It's definitely not a tradition in the States. And some of you UK viewers had said, oh my gosh, I'd completely forgotten about that I received that for my 21st. And yeah, it was really interesting to read about. And I've since gone on and done some research about it. And apparently it might even go all the way back to the medieval times and have something to do with knights and stuff. But anyway, here in the UK, you get a key, some sort of key. It used to be a real house key. Now it's normally a decorative one in a box or a piece of jewelry, just to signify at 21 you're an adult. And, you know, obviously most kids now have a key to their house, but it's the significance. I wonder now if the idea of giving a key at 21 is dying out. But it's been a tradition in the UK for many years. So that was fun to read about that. And then we have newspaper. So I use this fun advert for the newspaper. Really love this page. We've got this nice sort of grey dot because the grey picks up the grey here in this particular piece. She's getting a bit indented though because of this over here. So this is so annoying. I love it on there, but it's the most annoying piece in here. I wish I'd added a magnet, if I'm honest. I really wish I'd added a magnet to the bottom of here. I probably could still go on and do that, so that might be something I do. Love this page. It was fun, very vintage. Okay, very cute page. This was for line, and so I did the idea of a train line, and this is our little choo-choo train. Choo-choo! And he moves and it says little red train on there. Love it. Very cute. Super sweet. Had a lot of fun with it. Super simple layout because I was just focusing on this bit. And then we have modern. Went for a 60s vibe with this. Bright yellow on here. Really picks up obviously the yellow in the piece. So different to the other pages, or a lot of the other pages. It's got that arty feel again, and yet because I've carried through those same colors and I've carried through the same pieces like the fashion card and that, because of that it still feels cohesive even though it's next to this very vintage piece. Then we have movement, and boy did this challenge me, but how much do I love it. So I went for a very neutral background, everything basically the same color, bit of stenciling to add more depth, you know, very neutral, not something I would normally do. I'd normally want to add something more to this or ink it up even more. And then we have the movement comes with these butterflies. The bottom one is magnetized. I tried to magnetize this, it wasn't working, but they spin. Look at this, it actually spins. You can move it around, and then it's got own your story on there. And if you don't know straight away, it just looks like the butterflies on this page before you realize as your eye gets drawn in that there's more to it. Love that. Crumpled. For day 27, I crumpled up some background paper. I then tried to use that to give texture in inking. I went for a very neutral one and spoke a lot about the TV show The Traitors. So the tab has this green and blue. I used the more blue side on Mavis's side with the tag because she had more blue, and this has more of the green to pick up the green here and to give it more of a pop of color, because I feel like this background is still quite dark, and I like that pop of color at the top. Love this one. Super cute. This was for sealed. I'd used wax seals and things. So I went with the idea of envelopes, because envelopes, you seal them, and sealing a leaf that I've collected myself in a laminating pouch, because that works for sealed. And we have our little story of our little boy who goes out and collects. And again, this is that dotty, wonderful fabric. And I love it because of the browns and the greys. It kind of goes with this feel. But also I was talking about in collecting stones and things, and this kind of looks a bit like pebbles. So there was a thought behind every single one of these little tabs. This one was for reveal. My first ever waterfall. I've used the ecru fabric there because it goes with the very neutral. And obviously we have a wonderful reveal. It does get stuck slightly on that label. We have the double reveal because we also have the words. Love this piece. Really beautiful. Picked up those reds, blues, blacks, and yet still has a vintage feel to it. Then we had fabric, so I went for it. We've got fabric tab, we've got fabric in the background. The idea was she was doing a fabric mood board, that she was a clothing designer. We've got stitching, we've got buttons, like we've got vintage sewing pattern paper in the background. We've got wonky stitching. Her stitching would be perfect. Mine is wonky. My fault again, because on the other side of this there was like layers and all that kind of thing. So there we go. And the final page, guys, was letter. I did a very basic kind of, we've got the blue here to pick up the blue in her dress, but it was a nice little collage. We've got a glassine envelope that's tea dyed. I did some more painting on some collage paper, and I put my little letter in here. And I mean, I can't really show you what it all looks like, but it obviously opens up completely, you know, and we can pull it along and you get to see the full kind of beautiful look of the whole piece. And then obviously it opens the other side. It is such a fun thing to play with. I mean, there's a few bits that fall out or fall about because I should have thought about those a bit better. But let's put this away in here. I love this background page. I really, really do. Love that background page. Like I said, it kind of mimics the front cover as well, which tickles my brain. I love it when things like when you know, I love doing things like that. So let's do, these are the questions that Louisa and Barbara did for different. Remember, I will leave the link to Barbara's video down below for you to check out. And I'm just going to answer them and do some reflection for Junk Journal January. And I think this is something that I may adapt and do with a lot of month-long projects. So question 1 was, which prompt felt the most personal to you and why? And that was prompt 9 for me, which was this one. The prompt was hidden, but I feel like it's the most personal to me because this is really about having confidence in yourself as a creator. It's about how we feel about creating. I spoke a lot about how I struggled with the term creative or artist for myself, how it's something I've really struggled with during my life. And so it said simply believe, or free to believe, note to self, you know, simply free to believe in yourself. And then again, we've got creating friendship, laughter and art, and it feels very personal because it's a message that I feel is very positive, uplifting, something for me to remind myself when I sit there and think I'm not an artist or I'm not creative. And I'm not saying that for you guys to go, yes, you are. It is honestly something I have deeply struggled with because I was always more academic. You know, my degree is academic. I worked in education. That's it. And it's only over the last few years since I've had some health issues and things which sort of meant I was stuck in my home for quite a while, I allowed myself to explore the kind of crafts that I did on the side, that I kind of went, oh yeah, well, I stitch and I make cards and scrapbook, but it's, you know, it's just normal stuff. I allowed myself to explore that more and even start this channel. So this feels very, very personal to me. And I hope if you take anything away from Junk Journal January that I've done, I hope you take away the message to just believe in yourself, believe in your creativity, play. Don't compare yourself to others, which, let's face it, we all do. Just enjoy your own creativity and your style. So that feels very personal. Question 2, if I could redo one prompt, which one and why? And that is a no-brainer. It would be this one. It would be Fragile. I really don't like this page. Now, I could have repeated it like I did embossed, but because it was so close like this, it was only a few days away, the repeat page, I didn't want to redo this one. But I don't hate it. It's just the one I like least in the whole of this. The composition isn't right. I'm not happy with it. So yeah, that's the one I would redo. Question 3, which prompt surprised you the most in how it turned out? And this one may surprise you, but the one that surprised me the most is neutral. And the reason is because I had no idea what I was going to do. And I was looking online, and then they were coming up with all these like mood boards of what neutral colours are. And some of them had these circles around the colours. And I thought, oh gosh, that's interesting, but no idea how that's going to turn out. Cut out a load of random circles, and I really like it. Like, I'm really surprised how it came out. I love the layering of this. I love the neutrality with the little pops of yellow, which can be neutral. She's just in the middle swinging. Like, I was really surprised at how this page turned out, just because I wasn't, in all honesty, I wasn't expecting much from how it would turn out. And I really like it. So, day 4. What technique material would you like to explore more? Again, no, well, this won't surprise any of you. I really love this. But that would be prompt 29, and it would be reveal. I'd never made a waterfall before until I really do need to, this needs to come up a little bit. And I'd only made a prototype before making this for my journal. But can I just say, not only do I love how this turns out, normally when I see waterfalls, they're little squares or something like that. But I've ripped and torn the edge of mine. I love that I've put something on the inside of them as well. I love the movement. I wasn't expecting to be able to really vintagey grunge this up the way it turned out. And I think it's one of my favourite pages in the whole journal. So I will be exploring waterfalls a lot more, as well as other interactive card techniques, but for journaling. Okay, question 5, which prompt made you step out of your comfort zone the most? There was a few that did, but the one I picked was day 25. It was modern. And the reason it made me step out of my comfort zone, this is very bright for me. I'm using a lot of pink in here. I don't tend to work with pink. I don't tend to work with really bright colours. And if I do work with bright colours, they tend to be bright greens. Well, not even that bright. Look, I just don't work with bright colours, except when I'm doing more arty challenges like this. But this is very bright. And it's a style. I don't like 60s style. It's not one that I am drawn to, not in really furniture, clothing, colours, makeup. Like, it's not a thing for me. Fabric, no, it's not a thing. So this was inspired by the 60s. We've got that sort of, what do you say? Yeah, like go-go boots. I knew there was a word for them, but that kind of vinyl go-go boot feel with the white. I love the couple on here, actually. I really do. They really do give me like John Lennon and Twiggy vibes, which I love. But this really surprised me because actually I love this page. I really love this page. So this is the one that really made me step out of my comfort zone because of the colours and the style and the era. But I really like it. So that was fun. What's one thing you've learned about yourself during this challenge? Right, there's a few things I've learned, but one is, and this isn't something I've learnt really, it's something I already knew, but this challenge has really cemented it in a way. But I love storytelling, and I love how story influences a make. I love the two together. I think you don't always need a story with a make. I haven't had a story with every single one. This really didn't have, well, it sort of did. They were models and photography and all that thing, but not all of them had stories. But even just simply giving someone a name or having a simple theme, that really, really adds depth to my makes. And it influences how I approach them. Now, that's just me. I love to read. I've always loved stories. I like to listen to stories. I used to write stories when I was little. I love storytelling. And for me, I find when I'm crafting, if I'm working with a picture or a paper doll or something like that, I can't not give a story to it. It just is second nature to me. But what I find fascinating and what is really starting to become clear, I know when I make journals, some of my journals have stories, some of which I've included in the journal. But that's a theme that runs throughout and helps me with the overall making that journal cohesive. But even on a little page like this, I've really discovered how much just having one idea, and you don't need a complete story either. A story can evolve as you're creating your page. I love that. So that's something. And also, I really have found, this is the first time I've really found that I like grungy vintage, but I'm really enjoying this year adding pops of colour to it, whether that's a blue, a little pop of yellow, maybe it's a pop of pink or red. Like, I have really enjoyed, like, this is a very vintage page, but we have that orange and blue with the red train. You know, this is a vintage page, but we have the pop of red and blue and the red stitching. Like, I really, yeah, it's something I'm really surprised. Even this vintage page, but we've got the pop of yellow, little bit of blue, and in the background. This didn't work. Even here, vintage page, pops of red. It's really interesting how I love vintage grunge with a pop of colour. So that's new this year. That's not something I tend to do. So that's something I found out. Let's move on to question 7. If you could gift a page to someone, which would it be and why? Well, it's going to have to be page 24. Actually, there's a lot of pages I wish I could gift to you guys. And I know a lot of you have been like, oh my gosh, your journal's great. I wish I could play with it. It's interactive. It's fun. It's full of texture. So I wish I could gift all of you this journal. But if I had to choose one page, guys, it would be this one for line. And just because this page out of all the pages in this journal makes me feel like a child in the best way. I just want to go doo, 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 doo. And I just think this would be a great page to gift someone because I think it's fun. I think it's playful. I think it's got a technique on there we don't often think about. I've never done it before. You know, I know it's not new. I know other people have done it, but I've never done it personally. I think it's fun. Yeah, it's just, it makes me smile. You can hear it in my voice. And I would love to gift it to this would be the page I would choose because of that playful, because I hope that whoever I gifted it to would smile, Yeah, this is the page. Obviously, like I said, I wish I could share almost all of the pages. Not the ones I don't like, but all the other pages. Okay. Let's turn this over now. Question 8. Which prompt would you recommend to someone new to junk journaling and why? And again, that was a no-brainer to me. It would be prompt 11 and it would be magazine. And the reason I would recommend this prompt to someone new to junk journaling is because most of us have magazines. You can get free magazines. You can get free newspapers. You can pick up leaflets and things. Like when you're new to junk journaling, you may not have the supplies. And let's be honest, our craft can get very expensive. I mean, how something that started out as collecting junk to make a journal then turned into something that now has digital kits that can be expensive. The printing out of them can be expensive. The ink, most of us who now do this in a way that we sell our stuff, like me, will have an eco tank, and they are not cheap printers. They're worth it in the long run because I can print like 2,000 pages on one lot of ink. But eco tank printers aren't cheap. We buy vintage ephemera, that is not cheap. We buy vintage books, that's often not cheap. Like, it is not a cheap no craft is cheap. You all start out going, I'll have 1 or 2 bits, and then suddenly we've spent far too much money and have overwhelmingly overstashed, overflowing craft areas. And I think this, for someone who's new to junk journaling, is perfect. Like I said, you can get magazines easily. You've probably got one. You can pick them up free. And the other thing about that is it helps you to learn how to do composition. Like, you don't care if you've ripped and torn a whole magazine and done 10 different collages or 10 different pages and you don't like any of them. What does it matter? Because it's cheap and it's easy to get rid of, but you will always have learnt from those pages. And so it's easy to find imagery, colors, composition, layouts, all those kind of things. It's cheap to play with. You're not worried about, oh my goodness, I've just ripped up that vintage piece of ephemera, or I've just used that book page and I hate the whole thing. You're not worried. So magazines are the way to go. So if you are new to junk journaling, don't go out and buy super expensive magazines. Literally get a cheap one, go to secondhand shops or thrift shops in the States and pick them up for like 50p, 20p, whatever it is, and play. So that's my answer to that. It was a long one, but there we go. Question 9. What's your favorite favorite moment during this challenge? And it's gonna maybe be one you're not expecting, but my favorite moment through this whole challenge has been this tag booklet base. So I made this out of brown paper bags that I had lying around. I put it together in like 25 minutes. I just wanted something easy to work on. I wanted something different. I wanted to use something in my stash, and I got such an amazingly supportive response from you guys. Not only have you really enjoyed me create, what I'm creating, that I've created it, and enjoyed seeing me work in it, I know many of you have gone on and made your own. And I had so many requests for a tutorial on this journal, which I didn't expect anyone would want, because I just thought, this is so basic. Everyone's going to be so bored if I do a tutorial on it. I'll just make it really quickly and then use it. But I had so many requests that I did then do a tutorial, and it got such an amazing response. It's had so many views. It's had so many wonderful comments. Like, that has been my favorite moment, the actual base of the journal. It's nothing new. Other people out there have made journals like this that are like the concertina kind of flip journals. And I don't know if it's just because it was a paper bag that I used that you guys were like, oh my goodness, we've got so many paper bags. This is brilliant. And it's such an easy thing to do. And again, anyone new to junk journaling, this is literally the easiest journal you could put together for your first journal. You can get paper bags so easily and cheaply. We all have them from when we've gone to shops and things. Like, if you don't have paper bags, you've probably got brown paper packaging. And I discussed that in that video too. So that's my favorite moment. I think because it was such a surprising moment and it's had such an overwhelming response. And I am so grateful to all of you for your response to it and how wonderfully complimentary you've been on it. Last question. If you could describe your journal in 3 words, what would they be? Stories, that's self-explanatory. Texture, which I think is also self-explanatory, and playful. I just played. I had so much fun adding random things. It didn't always work out, i.e. here. I got playful with things moving. I pulled in my magnets. I used embossing and little brads that have been in my stash for 10 years that I've never used. Flip outs, fun stories. My favorite things like texture pastes and magnets are some of my favorite too, and fabrics and vintage sewing pattern paper. Like, I just had the best time with this journal, getting playful, using my favorite things. So they're my 3 words that I would use: stories, texture, and playful for this piece. And that is it, guys. We have finally come to the end of this journal. And again, I cannot thank you all enough for how sweet you have been, how like your comments just make me so, they just make me smile. They fill my heart with joy. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you that does watch, does like, does subscribe, does share, does comment. Like, yeah, it takes me by surprise every single time. I'm also always fascinated. See, this is the academic side of me. It really fascinates me how people view different pages, and what pages are different people's favorites, and what pages people don't like as much. Like, that fascinates me just on my academic analytical side, which yeah, I am very academic and well, I'm very analytical, very kind of scientific in certain ways, and that just I love that aspect of it. It's really interesting. I can really love a page and think, oh my gosh, I think people are going to love this too. And yet that might not be the page that most people go, that's my favorite. So yeah, that fascinates me. And also I just love hearing when you guys have been inspired, or when you then tag me in something that you've made that has been inspired but is so different in many ways, because we all have different supplies and we have different ways we approach it, but you've been inspired by an idea. I love how many of you have started trying to add stories, even if it's just adding a name to the piece that you've used. Like, I just, yeah, that honestly, it means the world. I can't express how much it means to me and how much it brings me joy. And I just love it. I just love that, guys. I love our little community that's kind of gathered together. I love that interactivity, a bit like the tag book. And I'm just grateful that you guys spend the time listening to me and watching me. Like, when I started this channel, that was not something that I was expecting, because, you know, I am who I am and I can waffle. So I'm going to stop waffling on Gift of the Gab. Am Irish. And that's it for now. So we're going to say goodbye to this journal. And I will not be doing Junk Journal July. I made that decision. I was still playing around with it. I'd said I wasn't going to. Then I was. Then I wasn't going to. Then I was. I've decided no, I'm not going to do that. July's so busy this year. So I won't see you guys for this challenge until next January. But again, if you haven't watched my last year's Junk Journal January and Junk Journal July, I'll leave the flip throughs down below, and there is a playlist on my channel, so you can go check those out if you are having Junk Journal January withdrawals. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back again with another video. Until then, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having lots and lots of crafty fun. Bye for now.